Welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. Coyote not currently in the Highlands because the hotel stay for the errand run. And it brings up some stuff in my life that I really want to talk about, but probably I'm going to have to wait on later, about mobility and nomadism and where I'm at, and the idea of having a small home base. My thinking changes and evolves and just goes through all these different things over time because, you know, well, life changes, people evolve, and I'm going through that whole post-enlightenment process, and there's a process to this. I've been warned about it and told about it. You know, I'm not quite on the Eckhart Tolle park bench, but you know, there is a process to this, and it's a really, really fantastic and fun, and I should do some rambling videos about that. This is sort of related because I was watching a homeless guy out here, because we're in a city right now. Small city, but still a city, and he was not really old. I would guess he's in his 60s, and but he doesn't move right. He doesn't move healthily. And he's got his pile of stuff, and I think it's a little bit too much stuff, but it's not too much. He's not walking around like moving his 5 shopping carts one at a time. Like I've seen that in Los Angeles, Santa Monica. He's he's got one cart, which is sad. I kind of want to start a movement where we put no flat tires on old jogging strollers and just like give them to homeless people, because the shopping cart thing sucks so bad, and because it's an easy cop target in a way. Like, you know, it's obvious that you don't own it, so that's a problem. I mean, obviously if it's not labeled, if the whatever markings that were there from a company are off of it, then they can't really do anything, but they can harass you, and stopping the harassment would be a first step towards some sense of personal feeling of security, because, you know, a lot of these people, the cortisol levels have to be out of the control because you have no security of space or belonging or anything. And it's just one of the things I think about when I was looking at them. I was just thinking, you know, the health and diet part of this, because diet is obviously a huge part of health. I suspect that I looked at him, just his skin, the way he's moving and everything, and you can see that he has a something going on with his diet, his toxin level, I guess. Sorry, I had a little minor distraction. It looks like someone's trying to come in and clean my room right now, which would be a really bad time. But his toxin levels, like you can see it. You can see when people move that it's not just an old age thing. I don't know how to describe it, and I don't know how much of this is just an intuition thing, but you can tell that if the guy had a decent set of just basic diet and stretching, he would probably improve dramatically, like drop 10 or 15 years off of his functional age pretty immediately. And I'd love to see that be a thing for more people. I don't have such a problem with the idea of homelessness as a lot of people do. I know that in our culture, which is like what brought this up, is I was browsing some more of this stuff. There's a lot of people who are into the effort-based traditionalist approaches right now. It's a big movement. You know, you have to have the money, you have to have the stuff. There's the trappings, there's this material trappings thing that's big in the self-improvement space right now, and it's kind of like things have cycles and the pendulum swings, and right now it's all about the stuff. The stuff is the evidence that you have succeeded in making yourself better. And I'm like, ooh, this is a dangerous road to go down, because you don't want to transform your identity out there. Like, Chris Williamson is a fantastic podcaster. I love his show. But most of the reason I love his show is because it gives me something to beat my head against, you know, put my will against. You know, it's all effort-based markers of success, you know. So, going back, you know, I don't have that thing that our culture has against homelessness per se. And I've noticed that in a lot of the world. I have traveled rather extensively, 27, 29 countries. I have to go count again and remember. Homelessness is not specifically a crime in a lot of the world, and it's seen as a crime in the United States. Like it really is. And we do have a problem. We have a problem with some of the populations and some of how we handle it. And I'm not saying it's all sweetness and light, because it's not. But we disallow the agency and self-sufficiency and pride and safety and basic human dignity of homeless populations that are just trying to get by. Not get rescued, not abuse people, just get by. And that's an interesting thing. Like, if so much of that comes down to things like, could we get, you know, homeless yoga would be a really cool thing. It sounds hippy-dippy, crazy shit, but that can change lives. Not a bad idea. But I think that there are people who are pilgrims. I think that's actually not a bad way of phrasing it. People who are on a life pilgrimage. And that we would do better as a society if everyone felt that that did not take away all of their safety. That feeling of need that you see in so many people, that's a problem, you know. It's just something I think about. I get struck with this when I see certain people, you know. If I go to Havasu at the beach in the Channel, Lake Havasu City, it's a manufactured city. It's kind of interesting, but it's got an organic presence now because it's been around for 65 years or something. 67 years. And there are people who are either homeless or right on the edge of homeless, or maybe live in residential hotels or something, who hang out down there, who are very comfortable and okay. And there are some who are definitely in need, a state of need. And it's a very, very obvious, intuitive thing to see. Intuition plays a big part on this. And the difference is one of internal abundance and internal need. What I want you to do is think about cultivating that internal abundance where your Sauna Club membership is not your identity or self-worth. So, something to think about, you know. And we're going to get on more about some of the videos about mobility and my journey later on. Please give me a comment. Tell me what is boring. Tell me what isn't boring. Tell me what you want to actually know. And, you know, let's get things moving on the channel. Stay sideways. before World War II, where my grandfather worked for some basic manual labor stuff, in Indiana. And he and a group of friends actually lived in the woods. They had a campsite set up, and that was just okay. There was nothing wrong with that. It was frugal and it was okay. And now it is absolutely verboten. It is a horrible thing, and you are a horrible person, and it is judged very, very harshly in the United States. And I don't think that's a good thing. Anyway, to get back to the mobility aspects of this, I was looking at this guy, and I was thinking he could be doing better, and it only takes a little bit. The problem is that a lot of these people are so desperate for attention and recognition as human beings that if you start, you kind of get stuck in this thing where you're going to be, excuse me for a moment. That was a bearing on a fan. You're going to be stuck with them for hours and hours, okay? Days even, just trapped in their thing. There's no boundaries, okay? And that's kind of a functional problem to deal with. I am capable on my own without any other junk in life or without any attachments in life of going off and living out of a backpack. I think that everyone should be. I think that everyone should have the ability to feel safe doing so. I think that that would be a huge improvement on our psychological and spiritual health. We live in a society that really doesn't work that way. I had some neighbors in Virginia, in Herndon, when I lived there, who were immigrants from India. And it was very interesting because the way we met was, at the time I was car free. I had a wife, one child. This was before all 4 children. And we were car free, and we would walk to the shopping center. And we'd walk to the Harris Teeter and the French Bar and stuff, and about a mile and a half. And I used a hiking backpack to carry the groceries. And the way we met was we were walking back, and this couple, this Indian couple, asked us, they're like, "Are you travelers? Do you need dinner?" Like, that's a culture that has a different viewpoint on this. They thought we were just pilgrims, Turns out we were neighbors, and we talked to them about it a little bit, how we were car free, and they thought that was weirder than being homeless. So, kind of a weird little thing. This video is getting long, and I want to try to keep them short and talk about the things that I want to talk about. And I'm getting very sidetracked. I think that it would be very helpful for people to be able to be safely wandering, pilgrimage or whatever. And now, again, there are some really deep problems with some of the homeless populations, especially in the big cities where things get really weird and there's some really bad people involved. There are bad people involved on all levels of society, so take that for whatever